Welcome to Sadaaqa. Today we have a very interesting story to tell you. It's a story of one of Kuwait's oldest chips. Yeah, something as simple as chips. But then when you find out more about KITCO, which is the company that we are going to focus on, the founder of KITCO, who we are going to speak to, you will realize how important and what an important role this product has played in Kuwait. Now, Mr. Dhiraj Oberoi is a manufacturing pioneer in the regional food industry. He arrived in Kuwait at a very, very young age of 16 to help his father run a grocery store. And from there, with grit and determination, he transformed the business into a wholesale business, into distribution, and ultimately he went into manufacturing. Now, years have passed, brands have come and gone in Kuwait, but KITCO has managed to retain its hold on the mind and palate of people in Kuwait, especially the younger generation. Now, this has been possible because of many, many reasons. One of them is of course hard work, vision and enterprise, which Mr. Dhiraj Oberoi has in huge amounts. And we are going to listen to him tell us the KITCO story. Welcome to Sadaaqa, Mr. Oberoi. I mean, it's very difficult to pin you down. I know how busy you are, but thank you for giving us time.
Thank you for coming and taking this interview.
No, it's an honor and a pleasure. I have heard of of course, I have experienced your products. My entire family has, but I've heard of your commitment, your enterprise, your vision for so many years, and I'm so happy that I will be able to document it now, which gives me a lot of pleasure. So, Mr. Oberoi, when is it, I know that your father came to Kuwait a long time back. When did that happen?
He came here in 1949.
1940, just after the independence?
Just after the independence, but we originally come from Peshawar, which is now in Pakistan.
Okay.
So after the partition, my parents went to my grandfather and my father with my mother. We went to New Delhi.
Okay.
And a couple of years after that, he shifted to
Kuwait.
To Kuwait.
So what was he doing in Kuwait when he arrived? I mean, after he arrived, did he know what he was going to do, or he just came here to find out the scope, the opportunities?
I think it was one of our relatives who was here, or one of his friends, and he told him come over to Kuwait. And that time nobody knew Kuwait.
That's right, yes.
Yeah,
it was still not in the news.
Yes, and everybody, when the people ask where is he going, he says he's going to Basra.
Yes, yes, I've heard that, yes.
So,
yeah.
Kuwait was not that much known on the map at that time to the people, and when he came here, he worked for some time, I think, with one of her relatives, and then he started working for Jassem Al Wazzan.
I see. Okay.
You know, and he worked with him for 2-3 years, and then he decided that he wants to go on his own.
Okay.
So he said, whatever how small it is,
I will do my own thing.
I will do my own thing.
Okay.
So he opened a baqala.
He opened a baqala.
Yeah, and this baqala was where it was in that time what was called New Street.
Where is that? New Street?
This is Shara Jadid. This is where you remember the old British bank used to be there? The British bank, all the 3 banks.
Oh, there were British banks here in Kuwait. I'm sorry, I came much later, so
yeah.
I see.
It was called the British Bank, and then it became BKME.
Oh, that became BKME?
Yes.
I see, okay. So this was, you mean in downtown Kuwait, a baqala in New Street would be like?
Yeah.
Okay.
How should I put it? It's,
near Safat Square.
You know the souk?
That's right.
Souk?
The Mubarakia.
Mubarakia.
So it was near that place.
It's in Mubarakia.
It was in Mubarakia. That was
those
like,
banks were there, and then that street was.
That was, I think, the most happening place in those times, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes, that was the center of the commercial center of Kuwait. So, when did you shift to Kuwait, and what made you come here?
I came to Kuwait in 1964. My parents were here, and I was because there was no school here. So
You prefer to stay back in India?
not me; it was my parents.
Yes,
who
yes. I mean, your
decided that,
parents preferred
they
that you stay
decided,
back.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the studies because
Of
there was
course.
no school here.
Makes sense.
And I was being brought up by my grandparents.
Okay.
You know, and in 1952, as a child, I visited them
Okay.
in the school holidays.
You came here as a okay.
a
What
child.
was it like? What are your memories like?
It was. I remember we were living in Shark,
Okay.
and these were all
Mud houses.
like mud houses, old with a bircha, the well, little well in the
That's
courtyard.
right.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the
You know,
courtyard.
in the courtyard,
Yes.
there used to be a well.
Yeah.
And then we used to. That water was very salty.
Yeah, and it was not very clean, I've heard, right?
No, it wasn't not dirty.
Okay, but it was salty.
It was salty. So for having bath, we'll have a bath first with the salt water,
Yeah.
and then with the sweet water, which used to come from
Basra.
Basra.
That's right. Yes.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in
the
the-
ships, the boat.
No, it was being distributed at homes in
Those people who used to carry the water around, if I'm not mistaken.
this was more like a three-wheeler thing with a little tank.
Okay, so
and they
things
fill
became-
one canister, and for 1
see.
rupee they. So the water, the sweet water was very expensive.
I see.
So then we flush
Yeah.
flush out the salt
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
the sweet water, and
So it was difficult. Life was difficult, right?
yeah, because everything was canned.
Yeah.
There was nothing fresh.
There was nothing fresh.
You know, it's unlike today.
Yeah, very unlike
Yeah,
today.
I mean, the milk was evaporated milk in cans or
Okay.
in powder form.
Okay.
All the vegetables, beans,
Mm-hmm.
fruits, they were all canned.
Okay.
So you can imagine. You
Yeah,
know,
I can imagine what
Yeah.
life was like.
Yes.
So, and then when did you come again later, permanently?
I came here again after finishing my high school, or I'd finished my high school, not the results even had come, to visit my parents. At that point of time, what happened, unfortunately, my father felt very sick,
Okay.
and you know, like old times. Bete ko bitha, you know.
Yeah, let him. He's
let the
now,
boy-
he's done his high school, let him start
Yeah,
work.
let him help his father. He's
Yeah.
not well.
Yeah, yeah.
So that day, 58 years back, and now I'm still in this.
You're still, yes,
same
yes,
business.
yes.
So this is what happened.
That is how you came here. How challenging were the initial years? I mean, you were 16 years old then,
That's right, yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. How was it? How was Kuwait then? I mean, from when you came to visit your parents in 1952, and then when you came back, was it still the same?
It was only a matter of 4 years or something.
Okay, so not too much of a
Not
change.
too much of a change.
Yeah, but what was the business environment like?
It was very conventional, but also very good. Most of the things were done by the word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Okay.
It wasn't contract
It wasn't.
or paperwork.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm so happy to say that the people kept their word.
Yeah, if someone gave their word, they kept
They
it.
never went
Yeah,
back.
they went. Yeah.
You know, old Kuwaitis, very respectable people. You know. They, if you said so, finish.
That's
done.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know.
Things have changed, right?
I think it's worldwide. It's not only.
It's
Kuwait.
worldwide. It's just not. I agree with you,
It's worldwide.
Mr.
It's
Oberoi.
worldwide.
Absolutely. So now I have to ask you this. I know it's a long story, but if it is possible for you to make it little short for us, tell us the story of KITCO. What does KITCO stand for?
Kuwait Indo Trading Company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, for that, I have to go back a little bit.
Okay.
So, then my father went and opened a grocery, and like in the year 62, Jassem Al Wazzan, when he met my father again, and he told him, why don't we do partnership? You have a small shop, why don't we make a bigger baqala?
Yeah.
You know, everybody was thinking only on those levels.
On those, yes.
Yeah. So he said, all right. So then they formed a company.
Okay.
It was in 60s.
What was it called?
1960.
That was KITCO.
Yeah, the Kuwait Indo Trading Company.
I see, I see. That was when you started the wholesale business, or that came later?
No, that came late because I joined in 1964. So the company was already formed, or that time there was no rule of 51-49.
Okay.
It was 50-50.
50-50.
And then from the government of Kuwait came the
new rule.
The new rule about, so then that time they papered it, registered a company.
I see. Okay.
So,
so that was the beginning of KITCO.
Yes.
So and then how did it progress?
So, you know, when they had to decide what the name should be the company,
yeah.
You must have seen in Kuwait,
yeah.
Many people have companies with one Kuwaiti's name and one foreigner's name.
That's right, yes, yes, so they're combined together.
Yeah. So, Jassem Al Wazzan Sahib, he said Kuwait and Hindi. So,
Kuwait India, that's the cooperation.
India, you know.
Kuwaitia Hindia.
Yeah, which we turned into Kuwait Indo.
I see, I see. Okay. So it was initially called Kuwaitia Hindia. Yeah, that's what it means. In Arabic, that's what it means.
Kuwaitia Hindia Tijariya.
Yeah, Tijariya.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in English, of course, from Kuwait Indo Trading Company.
Yeah, it kind of just fell into place, right? That name, it stuck.
Yeah, it's you know, we being a trading family, and we had no knowledge of manufacturing or anything else. Nothing about the brands and brandings. So we thought, what will be the easy name? So KITCO. So okay, KITCO, and it's very easy for kids to pronounce.
Remember, right? Pronounce. That's right. Yes.
Yes. Okay, KITCO.
Okay.
So that's how we kept the name KITCO.
I see. And then how did it progress? I mean, then slowly you went into wholesale. Was that connected to this?
Yes, we had a baqala, and then we had a baqala which was in Jibla.
So that baqala was called KITCO.
The first baqala was which was opened by my father was in New Street.
Yeah, and then the next
one.
Then
when they became into partnership, it was in Jibla.
Okay.
You know, and that was a much bigger grocery shop, which was, and it was very popular among the Indian community because we used to import from India vegetables, which of course used to come by sea.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So those days there were no refrigeration in the sea on the ships.
Yeah.
So these vegetables used to be stored on the lowest deck, which is under the water line.
I see.
So when the ship is moving, it keeps it cool.
How interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So those were the vegetables we used to bring from India, and the Indian community living here, and some also Kuwaitis would like some Indian vegetables.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I've heard of that. Yes.
Come
and then how did it proceed after that?
And then in 1964 I joined him, and maybe 2-3 years later we thought that there cannot be any organic growth.
Okay.
Just staying in the retail or a grocery, because also the population was very small here.
Yeah.
So the next step was to go into wholesales.
Okay.
So we started off wholesales.
Was it challenging?
It was very challenging because from there on for 7 years I was the salesman.
Seriously?
Of course.
Okay.
On foot.
Salesman on foot. Okay.
Yeah, for 7 years.
Okay.
And if you ask me what is my memories of that time, people usually call it happy memories or whatever. It wasn't but that's one of my memories.
Yeah, that was your...
Because we used to sell to all the baqalas, which was in Mubarakia.
In Mubarakia. So you used to go from baqala to baqala.
And then there were some shops on the Seaf, in front of the Seaf Palace side. So we used to sell them on credit. And for the receiving our money was once a week, you know,
the collection.
The collection thing. And that used to be on a Saturday. But the rule was that if you don't go, on Saturday. If I miss it,
You don't get the money?
then next week.
Oh, next week. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this
Okay.
is what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was. So I had to literally finish all my customers, you
And
know,
run.
and visit everybody and take the money. It was okay in winters.
In summer.
In summer, my God, you know, it was. I just walked maybe 10, 15 shops. Then there was the sharba, you know, the mud.
The water.
The water,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
with the, you know, you just take it some, you know, like this, something
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
head
To cool yourself.
to cool and then walk again.
So this is what is interesting is it's not easy where these people have come today, the businessmen in Kuwait, expat businessmen who have worked very hard over the last 50, 60 years to come to this position, and the struggle and the hard work that you put in is exemplary. Having said that, having talked about the hard work, dedication, persistence, of businessmen of people who became businessmen later on. I wanted to ask you, how supportive were the Kuwaitis in those days?
That's a very emotional question for me.
Okay.
The reason being that my father passed away in 1980.
Okay.
And I was still young, and I had the responsibility
of the family.
You know, my mother, my unmarried sister, unmarried brothers, and that is where the Jassem Al Wazzan really put me under his feather.
I see. That was so nice. I see. I was going to ask you about the AlWazzans, and I can see that Mr. Oberoi has become really emotional when talking about Jassem Al Wazzan. Tell us about the man. I've heard so much about him.
He used to introduce me. Later years, I used to go with him to the exhibitions in Europe and something. And when we are going to stand in the exhibition, he would know the people, and he said, "This is my son."
Oh, he said that?
Yeah, his son. And his name is Dhiraj, Baldev, Oberoi, Al-Wazzan.
How nice. How nice. Yes, yes. I think that's so, I mean, it's so telling of the
Not
warm
only that,
relationship.
At that age, and he treated me like he would treat his children. He will also shout at me at times and love equally, like we do to our children.
With our children. That's
genuinely, it was a genuine love.
It was a genuine relationship.
Great people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, you are still business partners, if I'm not mistaken, and the relationship continues over the years.
Yes, then the second generation came, and by the grace of God, and I think all the brothers from the family, they have taken after their father with regards to the honesty, with regards to the forwardness. And this is what carries the business.
That's right.
And now we are in, my children and their children are also in the business. So we are three generations.
3 generations working together. I mean, I think that again is yet another story. 3 generations of Indians and Kuwaitis from 2 families working together. And from wholesale to distribution to manufacturing. I mean, that was a giant leap.
Yeah.
What brought that about?
You see, one thing I always had was, my focus was always on work. I never kind of played or something. Even when we had a baqala, we used to close only half day on a Friday.
I see.
So there was no holiday. The holidays was on Eid or something, you know. So my focus was always on this, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's not that you were doing it out of compulsion.
I really enjoyed it. And once you have a focus, then you start thinking. So once I visited Iran, and I had a chance to visit one of the factories, snack factories there, and food factories rather. And it came to my mind, I said, no, we should have a snacks factory.
Yeah. There was nothing like that in Kuwait in those days, right?
No, no.
Yeah.
And then when I came and told my father, I was sitting in the retail shop, I still remember that. And I told my father that we should make a factory. He started laughing.
Okay.
And he says, need money, where is this thing? As the luck would have it, Mr Jassem Al Wazzan walks in.
Okay.
And he asked, what's the talk going on between...
Why are you laughing?
No, why the talks between father and son was going on? So he said, this boy has gone mad, he wants to put a factory.
Okay.
So Jassem Al Wazzan's sir says, why not? That was also a big vision.
That was a huge vision.
He says, why not?
Absolutely.
And then those days, Abhan industrial area, the government was started giving plots for the industry. And we were the first or the second one in that area to build a factory at that time.
So, okay. That was when
late 70s.
Late 70s.
Late 70s. Okay. And he said, son, go and find out. Now the bomb is on me.
Yeah.
It was like, because.
Yeah, because you suggested it, right?
No, I say, but not because of that. I had absolutely no knowledge.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge. And the communications was very, very slow. The fastest communication that time was the cable, telegram. So, how do we go about it? So, I started writing. We took there used to be a directory called ABC, a trade directory. And we opened it, I took some address, one after, started sending the letters out to the European companies and other companies that this is the kind of business we want. And because we knew the mail is very slow, about 2 weeks it was okay with me. But then no reply came, and then I was started getting impatient, what's happening. Every time the boy goes to collect those days we had this post box.
Yeah.
So we used to go and pick the
mail from the post box.
Our box. So every day when the guy goes, I was waiting for him,
But there was no response.
No response.
Yeah.
So one day we got a positive
Okay.
letter.
Where was that from?
That came from Holland.
Holland.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when that letter came, and said that it, and I said, fine.
So did you start your first collaboration with Holland, with a company from Holland?
Yes.
I see.
So I told my father, I said, I want to go and visit this company, Son, where is the money? It's too expensive. And my mom said, he's a young boy, where you want to send him to Europe? Alone? Any big deal.
Of course, in those days.
So finally, I convinced this thing. And I said, okay, I'll spend my own money.
Yeah, okay.
But I have to go. So I used to get salary 40 KD.
40 KD salary.
That was
First amount in those
yes,
days.
of course,
I must mention that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I was just, I was not spending much.
Yeah, you
where
don't.
to
You were
spend it.
living together, yes.
Yeah.
So you saved
So
all that.
I remember I booked a car, Opel car, in Germany with 650 KD
Yeah.
from Alghanim company or something.
Yeah.
And to be delivered to be taken in Germany. So I went by road to Europe.
From here?
Yeah. You take a taxi to Matla.
Okay.
And the border used to be here, not there.
Yeah.
So then we take a taxi, Iraqi taxi will take you there. From there we went to Khorramshahr, from Khorramshahr to Tehran.
So it was a long distance.
Tehran
long
to
journey.
bus,
Yeah.
and then a train to Turkey, Turkey to...
Wow, that was quite an adventure.
So we reached there.
Okay.
And took the delivery of the car.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you drove to Holland.
Yeah. And by the way, when I came back, I sold that car for 750.
There speaks the businessman.
There was still
Yeah. Okay.
there was still money in that. So that was story. And then we met them. We said, and I told them, listen, we don't have money. So their MD there, he said, certain people have different way of. If you don't have money, why you come here? So So I said, okay, I don't have money, but I know. No, he says, if you don't have money, how you are going to do it, you know. So I said, he literally said go, you know, kind of. So I said, yes, I know I don't have money, but I know I will do it.
Okay.
So I walked out of the
Office.
office, you know, with the export manager there. So kind of disappointed, you know, and then while I was sitting in the export manager's office, the guy calls him, the gentleman from the MD. He called that boy. He says, okay, help him. Instead of automatic fryer, giving me manual fryer, you know, wherever maximum possible. And that's how we started.
You started
with them.
Oh, so with an automatic, instead of an automatic, you cut on certain things, but you got the work done.
We got the work done, and these are very fond memories.
Of course, these are very fond memories. I mean, it was not easy, not easy at all. So I want to know, I mean, you are a pioneer in the food industry in Kuwait, but who is your target audience? I mean, is your product also popular with the Kuwaitis?
Yeah, I think our target is always not Kuwaiti, just all kind of, all nationality, the kids.
The kids.
It started with the kids, you know, and then of course now the range of products which we have
has increased, right?
Has increased tremendously comparatively, and it's for all ages.
All ages, and I totally agree with him on that. I mean, I've seen it in my own family. Having said that, I must also say that while I was researching KITCO and Mr Oberoi, I found out about the KITCO ring, and there were people who have consumed it, who have eaten it in the past. And I do want to ask you this question before we go for a short break. What makes the KITCO ring so special?
It was our first product.
Okay.
The rings, KITCO rings, and the shape of the ring was so interesting. It is a tasty product.
Yeah, it is a tasty product. I
and
agree.
the kid, you know, they could
okay, like a ring. It went around the finger.
And then, you know, and
okay.
So, in fact, the first ad we made was also showing, you know, like.
Oh, that's the way.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And interestingly, I met. In my recent visit to USA, a gentleman in 40s, and he was working in a hotel. He was brought up in
Kuwait.
In Kuwait.
Okay.
And when we told him Kuwait KITCO, he said, cocktail rings.
Yeah, it rang a bell, right?
It rang a bell.
Yeah.
And I had taken some rings with me, just as a, you know, for giving it to grandchildren or something. When I gave it to you, should have seen his face.
Yeah, I know. He was so happy.
Even
right?
at the age of 40,
he
was, you know, it's nostalgia for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll take a short break, Mr. Oberoi, and come back.
Sure.
Welcome back to Sadaaqa. We are speaking to Mr. Dhiraj Oberoi of KITCO, and we shall continue with a very interesting conversation that we were having before we went for the break. Mr. Oberoi, I wanted to ask you about your family. I mean, you have children? You have how many sons and daughters do you have?
I have a daughter, the eldest.
Okay.
She is married in USA with an Indian origin boy, Prashant Mehta. And the second child is my Gaurav Oberoi. He has got 3 kids. And third is Anshul Oberoi. He's in Dubai.
He's in Dubai.
Yeah,
So Gaurav is in Kuwait.
Gaurav is in Kuwait.
And is Gaurav involved in the business?
Yes, he joined me many years back. After finishing his higher studies in USA, he joined me here.
I see. So how difficult or how easy was it for him? I mean, being a third generation Indian here. It has its own challenges, I'm sure, and as well as its advantages.
Yeah.
Right?
When he came from college, you know, many things happening were not right in our business, and we know it is right. You know. But over the years, rather very quickly, in 2-3 years, he understood and realized that what they learn in the business school does not apply to the same market. You know,
that's right.
same
Yeah.
system.
Okay.
So.
So it's been a learning process.
He's happy. He's born here.
Yeah.
Brought up here.
Yeah. What was
here.
it like? Did your children, I mean, like their childhood, the years that they spent here growing up?
They did. They did.
It was very simple, right?
Yes, because I have heard many of expatriates or even maybe Kuwaitis whose children go to study abroad.
Yeah.
They don't want to come back.
That's right.
Know. But we were happy that children came back and joined the business or whatever.
Okay. And you also mentioned your younger brother. I wanted to ask about him as well.
Yes, my younger brother Sudhir Oberoi. Unfortunately, we lost him 2 years back.
I see. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he was with me for 50 years with the same office.
Oh, I see.
A lot of credit of our growth goes to him also.
To Mr. Oberoi.
We were shoulder to shoulder.
Okay. 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 So I wanted to ask you, how close are you with the Kuwaiti community? You've been here for so many years. I mean, 58 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yes.
Right? So, I mean, how warm is the relationship apart from the AlWazzans?
We have a number of Kuwaiti friends and very friendly with us, and so are we with them. The good thing is that our customs, traditions are very parallel to India.
That's right. Very similar, right?
Very similar kind of thing, you know.
The
and
family.
so is the food.
The food as well. Yes,
food as well, you know. So it gels very well, and we really meet them socially very often.
And you went public a few years back?
Yes.
I mean, I think, was that the first for a company of your type, a local manufacturing? Yeah. What was the experience like?
Now here, you know, because it was our partners Al Wazzans, who were also many other businesses in addition to the companies with us. They decided to go public. So all our companies merged with their companies.
I see.
And now we are a part of a bigger group of companies, which is on stock exchange.
So that was a happy experience?
Very happy.
Excellent. And I think you mentioned while we were talking that you have some offices in Saudi Arabia, in other places in the region. So how has KITCO grown in the region?
Yeah, like I said earlier, that Kuwait is still a very limited market because of the size of the population and the country. So only way to grow is to go to other countries. So first target as a company, as a group of companies we have, is to establish factories, manufacturing facilities in neighboring places. So at this point of time we have in Dubai or Sharjah, we have in Qatar, Doha, and one in Riyadh. So of course, you know.
Okay, so do they manufacture the same things?
Yes.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And your wife was telling me that you are, I was going to ask you this question later, but it's a precursor to that, how involved are you in the product, new product launch and things like that? I mean, how do you diversify? How do you keep up with competition? As I said in my introduction, brands come and go in Kuwait. But KITCO is something which has kind of retained its hold for many years. What is the reason for that?
You see, there are the fundamentals about certain business to be success, I would call it, to keep the customer first, our consumer first. If we are able to deliver what they need, what our customer needs, nothing can stop us.
Okay.
And their needs are very tough. You know, if you are established brand, they know your brand. If by mistake we send a wrong quality at one time, they will forgive you at the second time.
That's right.
So, to ensure that we always deliver the right product and the top quality, this has always been our motto. And certain time it so happens that certain raw materials of the right quality are not available, and we have an option to use it as a inferior material. We don't do that.
You don't do that.
We'll rather be out of the market.
So product quality is very important.
It's very, very important.
And what about product innovation?
Yeah, of course, you know, because the consumer over a period get tired of eating the same thing. You know, certain exceptions are there, but mostly, so one has to come out with a new product, maybe a new flavor, or
do you do that after every like 2 or 3 years or something?
It's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's an ongoing process. Sometime.
So you have some research work also going on in the side?
Yeah, the marketing team, you know, they know it what's going on in the market, what the competition doing, and since, I mean, as an owner, we have such a long experience. We also have an eye for it. You know,
yeah,
when I
absolutely,
go, if I go to supermarket, I can see.
Yeah, you know what the competition is doing and what is happening and what people like. Yes. Mr. Oberoi, you have been very closely associated with a elite organization of business and professionals in Kuwait, which is IBPC, which I must tell my audience stands for Indian Business and Professional Councils Limited. So Indian Business and Professional Councils, it's an organization. So you were the first chairperson of that organization?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and that time it was called IBC.
Yes,
Indian Business
that,
Council. Yes. And that time.
Which was when?
That was when our ambassador Prabhudyalji was here, and it was starting during his tenure, maybe
in the 80s?
No, later.
Later.
It was much later than the invasion. Yeah.
Much later than the invasion.
Yeah,
okay.
I see. It was in 90s, I must say.
How effective, I mean, is an organization like that in increasing Indian or strengthening Indian presence, you know, or safeguarding Indian business interest in this country? What would be the role of an organization like that?
I think safeguarding Indian interest is not the right
thing
to say.
Building better relationship.
Building better relationship. Earlier than that, you know, before the IBC, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So whenever we want to reach a message collectively, there was none association, neither to be able to talk to our government or our embassy or Kuwait government or between the business people.
Okay.
So this kind of organization was required, and that's what we have now.
So it provides a collective voice.
And then the successors who succeeded the chairmanship and the new presidents, they're doing very good, you know.
Yes, definitely. And I also wanted to ask you about the ICSG, which is the Indian Community Support Group.
Yes.
And I know, and I think I've written about this as well, that they were very, very effective during the pandemic. So you are also a member of that group.
Yeah.
So what was the role of this organization or association during the pandemic?
It's a committee of about 12 people. During the pandemic, there was a lot of things to be done in the interest of though it is called Indian community, at the time of pandemic, it was more to the humanity.
Okay.
So collecting funds, helping people with the ration, lockdown, hospitalized, the medical thing, sending oxygen to India.
Yeah, so all humanitarian
all
efforts.
Humanitarian. There were so many things.
Yeah,
together.
they played a very, very
Yes.
important role.
Yes.
In both ways.
That's right.
Both ways, yeah.
So that is what it
Yeah,
was, and it's still there.
I do want to ask you, and this I know may be a sensitive topic, but in recent years there has been a lot of anti-expat rhetoric in Kuwait. I mean, having lived here for 58 years, how do you see this dilemma? And how do you feel have the expats contributed to the growth and development of Kuwait as we see it today?
I think this is a very difficult question to answer.
Okay.
It does not have one simple answer.
Yeah, okay.
It's much more complicated than that. First of all, I believe that the big trees have to give space for growth to the smaller trees. The new generations, whether Kuwaitis or expatriates, have to be given space. And to look at it, there is economic side of it, there is a humanitarian side of it. Very difficult to answer. I really can't
Yeah, I
comment
suppose
on that.
you need a lot of time to
yes.
devote to this particular
Yeah, it's
topic.
very
Yes, it
difficult,
can
you
be
know.
a separate topic by itself, if I'm
Exactly.
not mistaken. Right? Okay, so we have come to almost to the end of the show, but before we let you go, we have to answer the questions on Ahlen Kuwait.
Okay.
So we've come to the end of our show, and we cannot let you go without answering our Ahlen Kuwait section. And we have something very special going on today. We have a partner who is supporting us on Sadaaqa, and we are very grateful to them. And they are, well, Mughal Mahal, one of Kuwait's most well-known restaurant chain of Indian restaurants. So, Mr. Oberoi, we have this gift cards from Mughal Mahal, which I'm going to give to you after you answer these questions of mine. And they are like simple questions,
Okay.
but I hope that you enjoy doing this section
Sure.
with us. So, if I were to ask you, Mr. Oberoi, about your favorite memory of Kuwait, what would that be?
Very difficult question.
Difficult question? Yeah, there are too many of them.
Yeah, I enjoyed life here, I mean,
Okay.
nothing very, most probably when I came back after invasion.
After invasion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when everything was lost, we were away, and when the liberation
That's right.
came in, I came first, landed here, and despite of the fact everything was destroyed, lots of losses we saw, but still I was happy that, okay.
You had been able to come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, what is your happy place in Kuwait? What would that be?
My business house.
Okay, spoken like a true businessman. His business house, okay. Okay, your office,
Of course.
right? Okay. Something Kuwaiti that you like to eat?
I think most of the Kuwaiti food is like ours, and
That's right, there's a lot of
whenever
similarity.
we get together with the friends,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you like
Well,
everything. I had some people mention majboos,
Majboos, yes, of course.
which
Yeah,
is
I was
which
coming
is
to that.
yeah, yeah,
So we like that one with the shatta and all that.
yeah. Okay. And your favorite KITCO product?
Again,
Difficult question.
it's like asking a mother, you know, which is your favorite child?
Yeah, but perhaps the KITCO ring, since it's the first one.
Yeah, it is.
It is, right?
It is the one which is in the memory of people also.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in that sense, yes.
Okay. And our last question, your favorite phrase in Kuwaiti or Arabic? Do you know Arabic?
I've not been much with the, but yes, I do.
Okay.
You know.
So what would be your favorite phrase?
Like they say, atikafia, you know.
What does that
bless-
mean? I'm
I think
very.
it's a blessing. You know,
It's a blessing. Atikafia.
Yeah,
Okay. And I can now give you the gift cards from Mughal Mahal, our partners.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you
thank
so
you,
much.
Mughal Mahal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mughal Mahal.
On
And
my
thank you for being on our show, Mr. Oberoi. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.